Wow, thank you for that amazing introduction. God, it's such a pleasure to be here because, Jason and I met 2 years ago at a phenomenal conference that the wonderful Tim Ferriss, who's in the room today, put on. And I think that what was so brilliant about that event was how everybody collaborated together, not just at the event, but subsequently. And I have to be really honest, I don't think I've ever seen any event ever where a group of people carried on helping each other and where a group of people carried on working together 2 years later. I mean, 2 years later, that group of people was still helping each other. So for me, collaboration is such an important part of what I've done and what I continue to do. So today, I want to share, I think, what's arguably for me the most important thing, which is to really encourage all of you to stop thinking about the things that you want to do and actually start doing them. 4 years ago, I was just like many of you. I had just launched my third startup. I had a young son, and life was good. Then tragically, overnight, my life completely changed. I lost my partner in a tragic accident, the father of my son. I became, and my best friend, I became a single mother, a widow, and a sole business owner. And I say this not for anyone to feel sorry for me. I say this because I want to remind all of you how precious life is. And I say it because I want to remind all of you that time, and not money, is our most valuable commodity. And I say it because I want to make sure we all realize that how we invest our time is as important, if not more important, than how we invest our money. If we lose money today, we can make up for it tomorrow. But when you lose time, you can never get it back. So, we need to recognize that there has never been a better time or a more urgent time to stop talking about the things that we want to do, whether it's starting a new business, whether it's writing a book, whether it's actually giving up on the business that you're currently running, because so many of us carrying on down a path, even though we know it's going nowhere, because we're afraid of doing something different. Life has a sting in its tail. It races by whilst we're trying to figure out what's important from what's not so important. But we need to make sure that everything we do counts towards where we really want to be. And I can guarantee you that every single person in this room thinks that they are good, in fact, probably brilliant at getting shit done. But are we doing the things that really count? Are we doing the stuff that matters? Are we doing the stuff that makes our hearts sing? Are we doing the stuff that we really wanted to do? Or are we just following a path because we were on it? And I've learned in very personal ways that I never put off doing something that I really want to do unless I'm willing to die having it left undone. And I think that if we embrace that and we take that goal with us forward, when we're looking at all the things that we want to do with our lives and not just our business, it will help all of us up our game. It will help us all recognize what we're really focused on. So many business owners. One of the things that Jason didn't mention was that I founded a company in the UK called Smarter, and we are the largest site in the UK for small businesses. We help over 450,000 small businesses every month. So I listen to and I talk with so many business owners and so many entrepreneurs. And you'll be amazed, despite all our passion, despite all our hard work, despite all of our focus, despite the fact we can always get more done than our counterparts, still, there is a huge number of us who get carried away with the current of what we were doing yesterday, of what we were doing last week, of what we were doing last year, instead of moving forward with purpose and really understanding what it is that we want to do, rather than just doing what we've always been doing. I learned a really important lesson about 3 weeks ago from, I have a 7-year-old son, and he's very blessed. He picked up his dad's natural athletic genes, and he happens to be brilliant at pretty much any sport he tries. But for some reason, he didn't want to do any of the after-school sports clubs. So the school called me and asked me if I could just have a word with him and ask him why he didn't want to join in. And he looked at me and he said, "Mummy, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you want to do it." I thought to myself, wow, imagine how many people run businesses that they don't really want to run. Imagine all those people who were good at maths and ended up accountants because they happened to be good at maths. So let's not get carried away in the current. Even if it's a business that we used to love, even if it's something that we think we should be doing, even if it's something that our families and our friends believe we should be doing, if it's not our purpose, we need to change it. The only way you can up your game is to be playing your own game. Technology has made such a difference. We've heard loads of amazing things this morning already. In fact, you're going to learn so much amazing thing over the next couple of days, today and tomorrow, that your brain is going to be bombarded with so much information. But the key is to recognize that all the things that technology has helped, all the ways that technology has changed, what it hasn't done, in fact, it's done the opposite in many ways, is it hasn't changed our ability and our necessity to focus. If you focus on the one thing in your life that will make the biggest difference, instead as entrepreneurs, we're so creative, we've got all these ideas, we want to do all these amazing things, we want to do them all at the same time. And coming here and being surrounded by amazing other people, it's so easy to want to do more and more and more. But sometimes we have to step back. If you want to up your game, if you want to achieve more, you need to make sure you're doing the one thing, that you are focused on the one thing that is going to make the biggest difference to you. And I believe that that one thing is understanding how we utilize our time, making sure that we're focusing our time and effort on something where we have a purpose. We're focusing it on part of our business that we recognize is the piece that gives our customers the most joy. It's about not being afraid to make changes. If you think big and you deliver big, then you are truly great. One of the many lessons that we can all learn from the truly great Muhammad Ali. Because as entrepreneurs, we have to be confident. Sometimes it's an inner confidence. Sometimes we put on a great big show because we have to appear like we're confident. But so many people talk about all the things that they want to do. They talk about where they want their business to be, but they don't follow up. They don't deliver. They talk about it, but something holds them back. And what usually holds us back is fear. Has anybody heard about the Marshmallow Challenge? A few of you? Thanks. So the Marshmallow Challenge is a really simple challenge. They gave a marshmallow, 20 pieces of spaghetti, some tape, and a yard of string. And they gave it to everybody from kindergarten students through to business school MBAs and CEOs. The key here is who built the tallest tower using all of those bits and pieces pulled together. It wasn't the CEOs. It wasn't the people who were running their own companies. It wasn't the Wharton, Stanford, Harvard, Yale MBAs. It was the kindergarten kids. And it was the kindergarten kids because instead of sitting there analyzing, getting to that analysis paralysis, should I do that? Maybe I shouldn't. Should I try this? Maybe I shouldn't. Okay, who's in charge? Having a 5-minute discussion about who's going to lead the team. They just got up and they just did it. They didn't care if it failed. They tried and they tried and they tried again. And they kept trying until it worked. Because as we get older, fear sets in no matter how brave we all are individually. And I know many of you in this room today are very, very brave souls. In your personal life, in your business life, you champion and you drive forward. But all of us, at some point, have a fear that holds us back from doing what we really want to. But in life, what we learn, and certainly what I've learned from my own experiences, we need to embrace fear And we need to leave regret behind for somebody else. Because the truth is, fear is what holds us back. Regret weighs so much more than fear. Because regret is something that you can't change. If you're afraid of jumping out of a plane once you've done it, your fear disappears. But if you regret something, it's because you're in a position where you're no longer able to influence the outcome. Because it's come and it's gone and you missed your chance. Because you look back at your life and you think, you know, when I was running that company, I had 50 employees and I felt responsible for everybody and my wife and my husband and my kids who were in private schools, but I hated the job. I hated what I was doing. I hated my business, but I kept going because I was too afraid of stopping. Or you work for a corporate company, which isn't the case in this room, but many, many, many hundreds of thousands of people in the world hate their jobs, but they're too afraid to leave. But when you get to the end of your life and you look back, whether the end of your life is at 40 or whether the end of your life is at 90, you're going to regret the things that you didn't do so much more than the things that you did. And that is so true in business. I was in a position where, if I'm being honest, I was completely and utterly paralyzed, and I had no idea how I was going to get from one day to the next. I didn't know my left from my right. I didn't know what day of the week it was, let alone what the next big decision for my business should be. But through collaborating, through having people around me, through having a really strong support network, through recognizing that going forward, how I chose to invest my time. Money is a commodity that all of us can make more of, but time is not. So choosing the time to run the types of businesses that you're passionate about, to understand the parts of the business that aren't working, to get rid of them, to understand within your social group of friends who are there to support you, who's there to encourage you, to focus on the areas, to focus on the one thing that will make the biggest difference in your life, to focus on the one thing that's going to make the biggest difference to your business. That's what makes a difference. And that's when you embrace the fear, the regret disappears. If you have a lot of self-belief, like a lot of us entrepreneurs do, otherwise why on earth would we take this risk to go out and start to run our own businesses? But the self-belief and the big words about all the things that we're going to do, if we don't follow that up with action, they just fall flat. So I loved it when I saw your programs and the $100,000 challenge. For me, the most important part in your whole entire book is the second point. You've got your idea. Ideas are great. Oh my God. Between this room, I bet if we had a competition, we could probably come up with 100,000 ideas by the end of tomorrow. But what good are any of those ideas going to be if you don't focus on point 2, which is take the action? It's great you've got an idea for a $100,000 challenge. It's great that we've got that level of creativity. But if we don't follow through, if we don't take action, if we don't back it up, it's hollow. It's the type of things that we learn to regret. We move forward with our lives and we look back and we think about all the missed opportunities. We think about the responsibilities that we have, so we carrying on doing something, even if we don't believe that we're on the right path. But you can't be distracted. Once you know you're on the right path, you don't get distracted by the social media. You don't get distracted by buying shit. You don't get distracted by thinking you're doing stuff because you're having meetings upon meetings upon meetings. How many of you read the amazing New York Times blog, I think it was about this time last year, called The Busy Trap? Any of you? Phenomenal. If you guys haven't read it, I would highly recommend it. And it's the trap that the 21st century get into of being busy. We all say how busy we are, but what are we actually doing? Are we focused on doing the things that make the difference? Are we focused on doing the things that make us happy? Are we focused on doing the things that will make us money? Because if we're not making money and we're running a business, we're not going to be happy either. But don't get distracted by all these other things that are calling for our attention. Tie yourself to your idea. Tie yourself when you know you're on purpose. Tie yourself to your purpose, to your business, and ignore the sirens and follow your actions, not just with more words, but with more actions. Oftentimes, making a change seems scary. I know from personal experience that it was very scary for me to even go back to work, to make a decision, because suddenly my whole life had completely changed. But I realized that I had to take something from it that was positive, because I don't believe there's another alternative. And what I took from it was recognizing that time is absolutely our most valuable commodity, and taking action on the things that count to us without being fearful, without having regrets, by embracing the fear, by stepping out of our comfort zone, by building a support network around us that allows us to up our game, that allows us to compound the impact that we have on our businesses, on our world, and on society. Life has a sting in its tail. We think we've got forever, but we don't. We don't know how long any of us have got. It's so important not to put things off. It's so important that if there's something in your business that you want to change, you change it. If you don't believe your business is going in the right direction, move it. If you want to do something different, do it. This is probably one of my best quotes in my book. As Jason said, I've been very fortunate with a huge amount of help from the conference that Tim put on. My book it's my first ever book, and it became the #1 bestseller in the UK for 14 months in a row. And whilst I'm very proud of that, I think what I'm proudest of most is how it impacted on people, and the amazing feedback you can now get through social media is just trying to make people realize how simple this is. We complicate things too much. We talk about things too much. We hold ourselves back too much. When what we really need to do is embrace life and embrace our opportunities and recognize just how much opportunities we have. Whatever you learn over the next 48 hours, you're going to have some amazing speakers. But the key is this: whatever you learn, whoever you meet, if you don't do anything with it, if you don't do anything about it, if you don't follow up, you'll have wasted those amazing opportunities. The 5 Regrets of the Dying. How many of you have read that? So the 5 Regrets of the Dying, I think is just such a wonderful way to remind ourselves of what's important. Because when we get to that point, we don't want to have those 5 regrets. Hopefully, we don't want to have any. The first regret is regretting that we didn't live a life of our choosing, that we didn't follow through on the things we wanted to do. The second regret, that we worked too hard, and typically that we worked too hard at something we didn't love. The third regret, we didn't keep our friends close. We let work and life take over. The fourth regret, we weren't open with our feelings. We kept them to ourselves. And the fifth regret, that we didn't allow ourselves to be happy. We didn't allow ourselves to be the happiest that we could be. So I leave you today with a very simple thought. If there's someone you need to speak to them. If there's something you need to do in your business, do it. If there's something you need to change it. Because ultimately, nothing will change in life without action. And today and tomorrow is all about taking action. So please go and do it. Thank you very much.